Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast that celebrates the fact that we have fans all over this great big planet. From Mackay to Mintlaw, Nicholson to Nairobi, wherever you happen to be watching from, you're very much part of A Celtic World. And who do we have with us today? Well, it's Thursday night, so Paul is obviously with us. Paul, Mintlaw is your part of the world, isn't it?
I'm a Mintlaw Academy alumni, Gavin.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, there's a recurrent theme of unplanned connection to stuff that we've been talking about on Thursday nights. But yeah, I went to Mintlaw Academy just down the road from the Broch. My dad had actually done some teacher training in his run up to becoming a lecturer at Mintlaw Academy, and he was very impressed with the school and the teachers, and therefore made it his kind of wish that I didn't go to the local academy. I moved 12 miles down the road to Mintlaw.
Have you ever heard of Mintlaw Innes in Wrexham?
Yes, I have indeed. Passed through it many times. Had some relatives up in the Murray Firth and used to travel up that way.
Very good. So you're used to accents like
very much so. Very much so.
What part of Scotland are you from, Innes?
Perth, between Perth and Dundee.
Oh, my sister's just moved to Perth, you know. Funnily enough, that's fascinating, isn't it?
I lived in Perth. I lived in Perth for about 6 months as well. The other one.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's true.
The warmer one.
Well, colder one.
The colder one, now the warmer one. Well, hello to everyone in the chat. I'm expecting lots of interesting takes from our usual crew. Just pulling up a few hellos there. People greeting each other as they like to. That's always nice to see, isn't it? People using A Celtic World as a meeting place and warmly shaking hands with other people who are in the vicinity. 420 saying morning, Innes, Paul, Gav. Backstage, I just had a wee chat there with Innes and was quizzing him if he knew the significance of 420 somewhere, what that means, and he does now.
So, you know.
All right, so what are we going to be talking about today? I don't have a little menu made up for us, but we're going to talk about the goings-on with the Celtic Fans Collective and the board, obviously. That's big news, no matter what way you cut it. We'll be looking forward to the Braga game and Celtic socials, or various things from the world of social media. So, where better to kick it off then than this message that has gone out from the Celtic Fans Collective. Well, this is a tweet from Axom. Celtic Fans Collective has issued an update on the planned silent protests following a request from the club to meet on Monday. We've accepted this invitation and postponed the planned silent protests. I suppose everybody knows this already, but anyway, if you haven't seen this, why don't we have a look at the letter from the Celtic Fans Collective. This evening, Celtic fan organisations received an invitation from CelticFC to attend a meeting with the club. Interestingly, it wasn't sent to the Celtic Fans Collective. It was sent to a bunch of Celtic fan groups, as opposed to the centralised one, which caused a bit of confusion, let's say, as to the unanimity of the response or the consultation or lack thereof. In conjunction with the Celtic Fans Collective, supporter organisations have accepted this invitation. Okay, so there's the official line. They're going to meet with Mike Nicholson and Chris Mackay. We welcome the club's decision to meet and engage directly on the issues raised. However, we remain under no illusions about the scale of change still required at board level. As a result of this development, the planned continuation of the 3-match silence has been postponed in good faith in the hope and expectation that supporters will now receive full and honest communication from the club. Well, we'll pause there. Paul, does that represent a victory for the actions of the Celtic Fans Collective to you?
I think it does. The point of the silence was to break the club silence. The whole point of 29 minutes today and 32 minutes on the weekend was that's how many days since the open letter was ignored, essentially, unless you count the ridiculous AI statement, which nobody does. And anyway, we can't make progress. Like there's a lot of backlash already on and kind of wild views on social media that the protests should have continued. They could cancel the meeting. The only meeting we should be having is to accept resignations. But if you take a more kind of logical approach, you can't make progress until you've got dialogue, and this is an offer of dialogue. So I think the point was to break the silence. They've broken the silence. They invited the collective. Anyway, you cut it. It's the collective. They've gone to the various parts that make up a good chunk of the collective. And so whilst I think it's right to remain skeptical, and I think the statement clearly acknowledges that. If there's an offer to get around the table and have a discussion, then at least we can hopefully start to make some progress and get some answers. And if it doesn't go anywhere, or they're deemed to have reneged on that, or it's lip service, then action will ramp back up again. The silence was one part of a lengthier campaign, as is required to get the level of change in governance we need.
Yeah. Well, you can see the comments coming in there. There's a lot of cynicism, it's fair to say, among the people. Do you share that, Innes?
Well, it's inevitable. You're going to get some cynicism and critics. That just goes with the territory we're in. But on the collective statement, I think it was very, very well written. They've put the ball back in many points throughout it, back to the board of what their expectations are and what our expectations are. Whether we get that is another matter, and we'll find out on Monday, 6 o'clock, Celtic part time. So I'm not expecting much, to be fair, from the board.
Well, that's the cynicism that I think I was referring to, is like this is going to be a meeting that produces nothing of any great substance.
We'll tell, but as I say, we've got to get around the table. We've got to have dialogue. As I say, what they've written has been very articulate so far, and I would imagine we'll get an articulate statement following Monday's meeting, and we take it from there.
Yeah. You know the 7 points, the 7 questions, the club's long-term footballing strategy, and how is it going to be communicated to supporters? Why has there been no investment in critical positions? What accountability measures are in place for repeated failures in transfer dealings? How do you intend to modernise the club structure to compete in Europe? Why are we consistently unprepared for qualification stages? When will supporters receive the results of the fan survey? Why have the results of the Fairhurst inquiry not been made public? And what action will the club take to protect supporters from unlawful and disproportionate policing in the future? Why does the club continue to resist working with supporters to improve matchday atmosphere, supporter experience, etc.? Are people going to go... Do you think those 7 points, Paul, are going to be the ones that the supporters go in looking for answers to?
Well, I don't expect them all to be addressed or in any depth in one meeting. At the end of the day, I think the first meeting will be introductions and hopefully at least some conciliatory language to find a pathway forward. But I would absolutely hope and expect that those are the 7 points that the delegation want to get a response to, whether it's in one meeting or 4 or 5 or however long it takes. That should be the agenda, right? That's the letter. That's where the Celtic Fan Collective represents. As we know, about 40,000 people completed the survey, hundreds of people at a meeting in Glasgow, steering group nominated from there, and over 400 supporter groups, including CSCs, fan media, affiliations, trust, etc., etc. So there's a broad group that are involved in this, and I know you touched on that with the video on Monday, and yeah, those are the key issues raised. That's what we've been awaiting a response on. So that should make up at least the agenda of, if not just this meeting, then future meetings, because you want to follow through with consistency. That's the questions that were asked, and those are the questions that remain unanswered. So, yeah, I think from here, obviously, we've got a game tonight, and that'll take care of itself. And I agree with some of the comments coming in. It's great that that we've achieved some sort of movement forward, so the fans can get 100% behind the team. But the protest did its job, or the threat of further protest did its job. In the meantime, the delegation's got the best part of 3 or 4 days to sit down, get together, and work out how they're going to handle the meeting, who does what are the key things to get out of the first meeting, and what can we plan for future meetings. So it's a very early point in this whole thing, and I think it is a solid victory at this point in the process.
Yeah, I mean, Innes, what would please you from this meeting?
If there was a bit of honesty coming out of the board and some answer or address some of the points at least, rather than any corporate waffle that we've seen in previous statements. And if there is a pathway for further meetings to be held, that'd be an encouraging first step.
Will there definitely be a pathway for further meetings, but will there be anything substantive, like, a fan consultation board? They commit to that, but we'll flesh that out in the future. That kind of thing.
I very much doubt we'll hear of that on Monday. Subsequent meetings maybe, but it's a starting point, and we'll see where it takes us.
Have you seen any of the speculation that Peter Lawwell is not in great nick and is potentially retiring?
Yeah.
Do you think if that is true, then that I can imagine the board thinking that they can throw the fans a bone with that and say Peter Lawwell will be stepping down at some stage or something. Well,
I mean, there's a lot of smoke signals out there that he's going to step down at the AGM in November. So you got to think that's, there's a degree of truth in that. But I mean, that's just one part of the problem. The whole executive really needs to be looked at, Nicholson especially, and all the non-execs. The whole thing just needs a complete reset and a refresh.
Paul, you were away there when we were talking about Peter Lawwell and the speculation that he might be not in the best of health and about to retire in November. That might have been happening regardless. Or if that's the case, that will be happening regardless. But do you think they're going to dress that up as some sort of, okay, look, we'll give you this?
They might. They might try it, but I think they'd be pretty naive to think that's going to be enough of a sort of appeasement to where the fan base is at the moment. 7 points you put up earlier, it's not about just Lol. He's had probably, he probably is DD's puppet and Nick as well, the sense of it. So Dermot Desmond is still there, and I've touched on this before. We need. It doesn't matter whether it's one. It could be. It doesn't matter whether it's the whole board or part of the board or Lol. It's the structure and governance of how we run and how we the timeliness of how we get things done, how we spend money. And as I'm slightly off topic, but there's a lot of work being done at the moment and try to bring to light the other failings of the board beyond what happens on the pitch, like the stadium's a mess inside and out, complete lack of investment there. Around the footprint, plans for the hotel seem to have disappeared, museums, all of this stuff. Like they're hoarding money, paying millions in tax, and meanwhile the stadium's deteriorating and the fan experience is getting worse by the week. It's important to hold them to account on all their failings, not just one perceived transfer window. And I think that's why getting around the table and having a discussion about stuff and making all these points valid and aired is a win. Obviously, we don't know how they're going to treat it, but what we know now is, and there's obviously some discontent and some disagreement, and some people be more moderate and some people be more, militant. But I think the thing is, the fan base is still more united than it's been in a long, long time. We haven't had this level of broad agreement that the tactics you can disagree on, but I think there's a lot of unity on what needs to happen, and it's changing governance at the top. So I think some tokenism for a guy who has outstayed his welcome for a long time and is is retiring through ill health, isn't going to cut it. And I would be very surprised if this board are that naive that, given where this sort of fan action has got to already, that they think that will appease the collective and the broader fan base it's looking to represent.
Do you? I think that's exactly what they'll be thinking.
Well, they've been talking about that for a while, and now, or it's been aired for at least a couple of weeks now. So it's out there already. So it's not going to have any great dramatic effect on the support if that's what they come back with. It'll be laughed out. It's meaningless. They've got to address the bigger picture.
Yeah. I mean, my instinct tells me that very little will come out of this meeting, but they might sort of throw a few vague sort of bones to us without any meat on them, only to be fleshed out in the future. And, you know, we'll just be kicking the can down the road, and then the conversation will be, look, we need to keep going. We need to get back to other methods of protest. The silence one might be done and dusted now because the communication is back on the table.
Well,
but there'll be other ones.
Of course. And the thing is, a lot of people said, oh, you know, why are we not harassing the board on their way in and out the stadium, and why are we not doing this protest and that protest? Is you don't start at level. You don't go straight to 11. Like, you know, you got to sort of build up to this. So I think that it's been quite structured. And we've got to this point with relatively tame action, I think. So obviously it can go more militant as it's required if needs be.
But the collective statement was quite clear from yesterday. You know, action will continue until there's satisfaction. So even throughout this process on Monday. And coming back to the broader point, I don't think this meeting would have happened on Monday if it wasn't for the unity or the broad church that the collectives pulled together here. Because if this was just the Green Brigade or Ultras, you know, this would never have happened.
It's true.
What's the meaning of this? Oh, the man from Bucky, as in Bucky Thistle. Is that the idea?
He's
nearby.
He's confusing Bucky with the mighty Fraser, but that's okay.
Well, but Bucky played green and white hoops, so.
I do.
All right.
From I believe,
okay.
from I believe originally, a kit borrowed from Celtic.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, staying on subject, but different angles of it here. Here's a tweet from the Fox. Can we have this meeting recorded, or even better, live for all to see instead of just a selected few? And also, so one meeting ends a planned protest. I honestly don't know where we go with this. They had the chance to talk and failed. I want real change. Just hope you all do. But, I mean, first of all, there's no chance of it being live or recorded, is there? Unfortunately, that would be great telly, though.
This is what I mean about some of the more militant examples of what's going on social media. This character of the Fox was pretty vocal. Look, yeah, that's an idea. And I hear a lot of calls by similar characters saying, we must know who's on the collective delegation. You know, who are these faceless puppets that, you know, we don't know who they represent and what they can't speak for us. Well, look, unlike the board, this isn't a paid position. It isn't the day job. It is going to be controversial, potentially. And never mind our own support, there'll be plenty of people looking to make a target of these people from other supports. We've seen what happens on social media. People get outed, their bosses get contacted, their job details get leaked, their home addresses get leaked. It's absolutely unacceptable for Celtic supporters to be calling out and asking who the individuals involved in this are and have their public information out in the public space. It's just not acceptable. What you know is that you've got people from a broad church, as Innes says, across the Celtic support, and they were the ones that were put forward or elected or selected, not elected, probably selected, from a meeting that had a few hundred people in the room and a bunch more online. That was put together pretty quickly. Now, there's nothing to say that group has to stay together and be the same forever, but it's the best we've got in what has been a thrown together thing relatively quickly. So I'm absolutely anti this call to try and put members of this delegation's personal details out in the public space. It's not one.
Me too. For my point, for the short term, it's been put together. I think it's been pretty professionally organised, and I hope that continues. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll see that on Monday night with some sort of response. It'll be quite professional.
Yeah, I think you can be confident there'll be whether Celtics take proper minutes. I think the delegation will take proper minutes. There'll be clear comms out via their own statements. They'll also share that with various fan media, of which we are part, and we will come back and share that in the shows that we do on a regular basis. So, as will plenty of other Celtic channels. So, I think for now, you can't have 60,000, 66 million, however many Celtic fans around the world there are in the room. You've just got to accept that the people that are in the room have got the best interests of the club going forward. They're all supporters, just the same as we all are. And there'll be a concerted effort to get a consistent sort of approach and outcomes. And it's not going to happen in one meeting. It's not even going to happen probably in one season. But at least it's a start.
Yeah, and not every initiative that they come up with is going to be met with universal acclaim. This silence one, many people would be delighted is in the bin, because there were a lot of people were unhappy with it. But I understand the reasons why they weren't happy with it. Support the team and all that. But it was only for like a few games to make a point to try and agitate for a response, which has worked. So you would think people would be universally in agreement that this turned out to be an effective idea. But here's a tweet from Celtic Fan Zone. I've read on various platforms over the years the people involved in tomorrow's silence want a fan on the board. Hope they don't put forward the genius who thought up the silence idea. What's he getting at there? I mean, it was an effective thing, like it or not. Correct, Innes?
Well,
yeah, I was at the game on Saturday, and it was a 12 minutes.
That's right.
And in all honesty, without the Green Brigade and Boys Celtic, the stadium's generally pretty flat anyway. So, but the point was made. 12 minutes, the place erupted, and back to the normal levels that we have when these ultras groups are on full force. So it would have been interesting more tonight. I must admit, longer than 29 minutes at a European game. That would have been a bit of a stretch for many, I would guess. But
it would have. Do you think the board were in fear of that sort of international spotlight on them?
Yeah, I think that's just one of a combination of many. Like ticket sales, everything's got a knock-on effect. And the one thing we do know for them is money is what drives them. And if they're losing revenue from ticket sales, from merchandise, whatever, etc., then at some point they're going to come to the table.
Do you think it's that, Paul, or do you think there's something specific about the game coming up that spooked them?
I think, and this would have been in the tactics, right? It's a pretty big jump from 12 minutes to 29 minutes. 12 minutes, 12th man, that's easy. They could have continued that. 12 minutes tonight, 12 minutes on the weekend against Motherwell as well. But they deliberately ramped it up because that puts pressure on. And that pressure has come to bear, and the board have caved before it happened, because it will be on telly all over the world. There will be people that aren't in the Scottish football bubble that will be in attendance tonight, and it'll be going out on sort of TV channels all over the world. So it was a really bad look. It would be a really bad look for them. And what we have seen people, that the critics have complained about these protests haven't been that successful. Not everybody stayed out for the 12 minutes at Killie, and not everybody held up the banners at Thistle, and not everybody was silent for 12 minutes. But what it has done is, in each of those matches that have been televised on channels outside of Celtic TV, it has been discussed and debated by both the commentator and the pundit, the co-commentator and the pundits at halftime, for a good chunk of the television broadcast. And that's put it into the public space, and that's the point of it. And every little bit of that basically ramps up a little bit of pressure. And the thought of that stadium being even slightly silent for 29 minutes on tonight's game in front of the world, I think it did put the wind up them. And the other thing is, and let's not make any bones about this. Yeah, Celtic Park gets rocking on a derby match or a European match, especially, put a derby match under the lights. That happens. But let's be under no illusions. It's not the average fan that starts that atmosphere going. It's the various ultra groups. Now we've got one set in each corner. You've got the North Curve and the Green Brigade in the traditional standing end, and at the opposite diagonal corner, you've got the boys there. And by making noise in those two corners, they can kind of boost the noise up around the stadium. And yeah, everyone else joins in. But it's not being led by anyone else. Like there's very little of the rest of the stadium. They're not the Ultras have done such a good job of creating an atmosphere that they're now the ones that are looked to start that atmosphere. Like the fan experience has changed from 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago where, other pockets of the stadium and then it all went together. A few, like one group of lads could get a chant going that would end up going around the whole stadium. Effectively, they've put that into those groups and made that their responsibility. So, they've taken up that responsibility and they were willing to drop what is a key part of the fan experience for those ultra groups because the bigger picture is more important. A lot of people saying, "Oh, this will harm the team." Well, if it had gone ahead, well, maybe it would have, but does it harm the team to the same degree as bad governance, lack of spending money, underinvestment, just half-arsed?
Over multiple years as opposed to a 3-game segment.
Exactly. So I had a debate / argument with my mum the other night when I had a chat to her and basically said the same thing. She's still a season ticket holder. We used to sit together when I was back in the UK, and she still gets the games at 70 years old, which is great, especially when she's got a sort of, 7, 8, 9 hour round trip from up north. And I said to her, you've got to get behind this because it's temporary. There's a bigger picture here, and we should all be in agreement that we want to get this board either out or completely about faced in terms of how they're going to act. And the only way we can do that is to put them under pressure. So yeah, I do. Long way to answer, but yes, I do think tonight's game was a key driver for them getting around the table.
That's a very long way of saying that. What you were saying about the atmosphere, when I was at the Hearts game there at the end of last season, towards the end of last season, and the wind and the rain, it was blowing in horizontally, and we were all wrapped up and just, I couldn't sing. I mean, I could barely breathe. I was just trying to maintain body temperature. And then we looked down to the left, down to the Green Brigade, and the capo's down there, shirt off, didn't watch a moment of the game. He's just there like whipping up the crowd, and he's ripped and, he just keeps the whole thing going. And you're looking at him thinking, that guy is an absolute monster. And, he's keeping them vocal. And it was very impressive. And I was among the silent majority in it. So, I mean, it's definitely the case that that's where the noise comes from and the atmosphere.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the special Celtic Park atmosphere, as everybody keeps talking about, is more of a myth now. It's on European nights especially as well. There's changed a lot over the last few years, and, for whatever reasons, there'll be multiple reasons for that. But, yeah, I mean, under the lights in the derby game, yeah, that was a special moment. So, in terms of atmosphere and result, to be fair.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, that's half an hour chat on that. Can we talk for half an hour on Braga? Probably not. Let's see how we get on. All right, so what do we have to share about Braga? Not a great deal. Do we know much about their team? Well, we know this guy, if you can see this, João Moutinho. In their midfield, highly decorated Portuguese international. Right back, face we all recognise, Gustav Lagerbielke. Who knows more about this team than that? That's about where my knowledge ends. Do you have info on them?
No, not really on the team. Just know that they're pretty well organised. Having a look at the results, they had a good result against Feyenoord in their qualification as well. Obviously, they played Lincoln Red Imps. They scored a few goals, I think 9 in aggregate. But other than that, they don't seem to score many goals. They have quite a bit of possession by the looks of it. Well organised, well structured. which is probably not going to play into our hands tonight in terms of scoring goals. It'll be hard to break them down. We shall see. So,
David, they're saying Moutinho's about 40. He is indeed 39. Paul, were you still playing at a high level at the age of 39? Have you reached the age of 39?
I'm a little bit older than that, Gavin. I had a pretty severe knee injury at 24, and I hung up the boots for 18 years, 17 and a half years, and I made my comeback at 41. But I would say, and I played 2 seasons at 11s again between the ages of 42 and 44.
Tough.
But won it over 35s, which at 41 and 42 is a stretch. And the following year, all ages, but very low level socials. So just about able to cope with that. And I was, unlike yourself, who I'm sure was a rampaging centre forward, I was more of a penalty box kind of poacher. And
Box in the box. We could have been a great duo.
A fox in the box and a bit of a link-up man for just... This is real off topic, but we've got the time. So you go. I played in an amateur. That amateur team was a Brazilian. Believe it or not, it was a Brazilian amateur team based in Australia, and they recruited me.
Wow.
And another overweight Scottish bloke. They recruited me to be their striker and another overweight Scottish bloke to be their goalkeeper. And when we were first asked, we both laughed because it was the mid-season break, and we met this guy. Believe it or not, we met this guy at this football thing that was designed to help people lose weight, so everybody was overweight. It was quite good fun actually, and I went along not knowing how it would be, and I bet there was going to be people that were either much fatter than me and or much worse at football than me, and both were true, which was great. So it's good for my ego on 2 regards. Anyway, there was a Brazilian guy there who was a bit fat, but far and away the best player by a mile. Anyway, he and I linked up quite well in the 6-a-side game, and the other guy was an excellent keeper, and he'd said, "Oh, you should come down to our pre-season," and I said, "Great, I'm sure a Brazilian team needs a fat Scottish striker," and so we laughed it off. And then he persisted, and a few weeks out from the season, when pre-season training was started, he came back and said, "Are you two coming to this training?" And we went, "Are you serious?" You went, no, we definitely need a goalkeeper and we definitely need another striker, and you two would be fine. It's like, this seems weird. Anyway, we went, sure enough, key players all season. Keeper was better than me. He played every game until he got injured. Saved a few penalties, and I used to play 60 minutes most weeks. Because
60, you say? That's almost how old Tam is today, if I can interject your fascinating history of football. Tam Mack, happy birthday from all of us here at the Celtic World. I'm sure you will echo that, gents.
Absolutely. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tam.
William O'Toole getting us back to Braga. Somebody told me it was pronounced Braha on the last show, and I humorously... It's not really, though, is it? And it's you're nodding.
No, I mean, I watched that, so that's how I heard it.
Yes.
But,
and I said, I'm reliably informed, but of course, it's not the case. Braga put great emphasis on set pieces, with the old geezer sending them in. We could be in bother. I mean, how confident do we feel about this game going in? Ines, let's hear from you.
Well, as I said last time, I'm not entirely pumped up for this Europa League. I will be tonight once I get in the pub a couple of pints. I'll get back into it again. But we've got to win our home games, that's for sure, in this league. Whether we do tonight or not, get enough goals, I don't know. This team seem pretty damn organised. Seem to play a 3-5-2 going forward, from what I can see. Our midfield tonight will be key. How that picks, what he picks tonight, I have a funny feeling he'll go with the same old. McGregor, Hatate, Negrin, if Hatate's fit. I think he'll go with that, tried and tested in his mind. But I'll be pleasantly surprised if we can get a bit more speed in that midfield like we saw a bit in the Hibs game on Saturday.
What are you expecting from the midfield chosen by Brendan, Paul?
I'd be very surprised if Tati starts. Even if it was a mild hamstring pull or tweak, you're going to put him straight back in after less than a week's rest? I don't think so. I think he'd be lucky to make the bench. I'd love him to go with the same midfield from Hibs. Actually, I don't. If it was me, I'd play McGregor, Bernardo, and Engels. He won't go with that. He was asked about Bernardo, obviously, by the Portuguese press, and he said he will figure in the match. So that means he'll probably come off the bench. If we think back to Ange trusted Bernardo in these games. Like, he knew he would get the work rate in. He was good at winning the ball back, looked after the ball, which you've got to do in Europe. And yeah, he was really trusted in these big games. Brendan Rodgers, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to have to share that opinion. Equally, McCowan, while he's trusted in the Premier League, I don't think he's really rated at that level in the European environment. So I think he will miss out. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nygren come back into his preferred position and shift Engels across. It's still a central midfield position. He's predominantly right-footed, so he can come across onto it, which we like to do. I'd be reasonably happy with that. I agree with. I watched Monday's show earlier today over a bit of lunch break. I agree with Steve. I think Engels a little bit hard done by. He's not done that much wrong, and for whatever reason, he's become a whipping. Well, it's not for whatever reason. It's because the transfer fee is he's become a whipping boy. He's got the athleticism. He looks after the ball. He will be an advantage in Europe. He played well in Europe last year, for the most part. So I would like to see that in midfield. I think that's probably how he'll go. The front three will take care of themselves. I think it'll be the same as the other night. I'm really hoping I think Donovan and KT will come back in. I think that's the point of them being left out on the weekend. He was asked about Donovan specifically in the press conference yesterday, and he was a little bit non-committal in terms of confirming his starting lineup, which he's obviously going to do. But he did say obviously he would be back in contention. So I know some people were disappointed that Ralston came in and saw it as a slight on Colby Donovan. I didn't. I saw it as giving a kid who's played a lot of football at a young age, at a high level, an opportunity to rest up and be available as the first pick for tonight. And I hope that is the case. KT will come back in, assuming he's got no adverse reactions from last week's game. And even accounting for that, I think you would quite happily. I would certainly be quite happy if it was Srirachi. To be honest, I think he's looked decent. His delivery is good. His engine's good. His defending at the back post has been excellent. I've had dialogue with my brother, and he's already adamant that he should maybe be the first pick. He's got more of a professional eye than me, but I don't think you can make a case either way, to be honest. Like, I don't think you can argue that wouldn't be a good option. So I think the one thing, and we touched on this in the tactical review on Monday, the one thing that Srirachi and KT have that's significantly different is how they like to attack and move up the pitch. KT really wants to get on the outside and bomb on and get to the byline and whip crosses across, which is great. But if that's happening, he needs a winger to be coming in to make that space up. Whereas on Saturday's game, we saw Srirachi want to come inside, a bit more akin to how Greg Taylor used to play. He used to come into the midfield, invert, link up the play, go in through that central channel on the left. The problem with that is Tinecti was cutting in as well, and then they were both finding themselves in the same space quite a lot of the time. And again, Steve touched on this the other night as well. We've got players on both wings chopping and changing. Both fullbacks, well, two new fullbacks on the left. If you count Ralston coming back from injury and not being first choice, effectively two different fullbacks on the right hand side. And then you've got wingers that are new to the club or new to position. So all that interplay that we used to have that was super slick, if you think about AJ and Kuhn, and Taylor and whoever was playing on the left, Jota before he got injured, etc. We've lost all of that sort of interplay and sort of almost kind of innate knowledge of who's going to do what when, and that all needs to be built up. So it's going to take a few games for that to get up to speed. And again, we touched on this on Monday, and you guys have spoken about before. It's another frustration that the board have caused. Like, they get those players in early, And those players have got more time to get up to speed, get match sharp, have more pre-season, spend more time with their teammates, and bed themselves in sooner. And so all of this comes back to shoddy transfer dealings over the course of the summer window. But yeah, I think that's the team we'll go with. But there's only two or three decisions to make as far as I'm concerned. Some of them might be made by injuries or niggles.
Well, he's already given enough smoke signals about Negrin. He's sees goals in Negrin that is missing from the rest of the team. So I think that's a key point that he's going to start. Like you, Paul, I would have loved to have seen Bernardo playing in the deeper role in midfield and pushing McGregor forward, because then we know McGregor can score goals when he's pushed forward. So it's not going to happen, though. But
I think the question about McGregor is his engine. If he's asked to be higher up the park, he's that there's a lot of work needed to get through. If you're playing one of those eights, you're effectively funneling from front to back regularly. So his age, with the amount of games under his belt over the last decade, is that something we can ask of him for a full sort of 90 minutes, 95 minutes? Because that's presumably what we're expecting him to play every game.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying about Negrin, but I think, and I've mentioned this before, I'll say it again, I think he flatters to deceive. He scored a few goals. He's got a couple of assists. His assist for Iheanacho's goal in the last week game, great. I just don't think we see enough of it. Some of his other goals, they're kind of, he's got in the box and he's been a bit of a fox in the box and snaffled a broken ball and lashed it into the net, which is great. But I don't think that's really what he's in the team for. I think he's in the team to try and create goals from midfield, and his delivery from set pieces is poor. I just think, I think you're right, he probably will play. But he hasn't set the header on fire in any stretch of the imagination. And I, again, go back to transfer fees. I think the only reason he's getting as much slack in his direction is because we paid $1.5 million for him because he was 6 months from the end of his contract. If we paid 6, 7, 8, 9 for him because he had a 5-year deal, people would be up in arms.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I want to highlight this comment here before we go on any further, because it's high up now. Been a lot of chat that Paulo Bernardo had loads of injuries last season. He's only now getting back to playing like himself. That comment makes me realise why Quinny calls him O Bernardo. I have never been able to work that out. I was like, why is he calling him O Bernardo? That's a rubbish nickname. But now, when I see it written like that, oh, of course. I mean, did you both know that? Are you familiar with Quinny calling him that?
No.
I'm not, but I've heard it used, so yeah, I was aware.
Oh, Bernardo. Of course. All right. And then this comment here from Christy. Lager will want to haunt Rodgers tonight too. Gustav Lagerbielke. We hardly got to know him at all in this, did we?
No, I mean, we never saw enough of him to make a proper judgment on him. He never got enough game time. And when he did play, he didn't, it's hard to say. It's hard to say, but he was going to be good, bad, or indifferent. But he did his job when he played in the team, so.
Well, we saw enough of him to know that he was pretty slow. And I think if Stevie May runs away from you at Celtic Park, you've got problems. And that was the nail in his coffin, however many games into his Celtic career. Wasn't many. But yeah, if a player like Stevie May of his age and years if we'd done it 10 years ago, maybe, but he did it a couple of seasons ago. He ran away from Lagerbielke down the left-hand side. And I think every fan looking at that went, Jesus, that's poor. And look, we did also see it. So if they play a reasonably high line, which I'm not convinced they will, you'd be wanting to get pace in behind him, get Tenekti running in behind him, maybe do some switching and get Maeda running in behind him if he's going to play right centre back, because he is slow as a week in the jail. We also saw enough of him to create a wonderful song for him on this channel. Did we not, Gav?
Yes, which I thought I had loaded up. I thought I had loaded that up, but I can play it now anyway. I found it. Innes, I don't know if you know this, but
no.
We've done various Daft Wee songs, and you're going to have to sit through one of them. This is about Gustav Lagerbielke, and it was written at a time when we thought that he was going to be playing second fiddle to. We had loads of central defenders, and we thought Nat Phillips was coming in to sort of, hold down a berth. Weirdly, looking back on it, that seems ridiculous, but that's what we thought at the time. Guy coming in from Liverpool, and I'll play it. Hopefully, it plays okay. And just for your ease of listening, it starts off with the words "fresh-faced young Swede." Right, so I don't want you picking it up on the wrong syllable. All right, let's see if we can have this. Oh, it's loading. Hold on. Tension is mounting. It's exciting, isn't it, Dennis? Can you continue?
People are excited in the chat.
Oh, they haven't looked at the chat for a while. Oh, dear. I had it loaded up. I don't know why it disappeared from that section.
420, I was going to say he had a song. Yeah. Maestro 95 thinks you should sing it live.
No, that won't be happening. Here's the recorded version. Come on.
Tension's building.
Dear, what's happening? Sweet, hope you've got patience. We've got so many in central defence. You'll get your chance when that loan is ended. Time on your side, both barely descended. Gustav Lagerbielke, Gustav Lagerbielke. Your name's too hard for us to say. Gustav Lagerbielke, Gustav Lagerbielke. We'll probably say Lager anyway. Gustav Lagerbielke, Gustav Lagerbielke. Your name's too hard for us to say. Gustav Lagerbielke, Gustav Lagerbielke. We'll probably just say Lager anyway. There you go, Innes. What do you make of that?
Oh, classic Gav.
Brings back memories, Paul.
Classic, absolutely. Like we probably just say lager. Great, excellent stuff.
Yeah, I was quite happy with that one. Didn't catch a word, says Peg Leg Lonergan. It's that newfangled rock and roll, I think, that's causing the problem for Peg Leg. Can't bloody hear a word they're saying these days. All right, so that was Gustav Lagerbielke. Okay, right. I don't know if we've got much else to talk about the game. We're coming up to 50 minutes. That's okay. Let's move it on to some of the Celtic socials. Don't know if you saw this. Sean McArdle has gone on loan to Partick Thistle. So that's quite good that he's going to be getting some exposure in the league and all the rest of it. I would question the Partick Thistle PR guys' use of filters or whatever. It doesn't do the boy many favours, does it? It's not very nice. Hey, Paul?
No, it's not. No, as a young man who suffered with a little bit of acne, that's not the kindest, is it? But it's a great move for him, riding high in the league. I think we've got a couple other players already there and getting game time. And yeah, look, I think the kid's got a chance. You know, those few cameos he had at the end of last season. What was he? Was he 16 still at that point? I think still. And yeah, he didn't look out of place in a team that was a lot better than the one we've got now. So yeah, good feet, confident, decent physique for a kid. Yeah, I think he's got a chance. So yeah, great that he's gonna get out and play games. I would like to think he'll play pretty regularly for Thistle. And if you're going to play for a team in that level, then you want it to be a team that's sort of playing at a reasonably high level. So yeah, let's see how he gets on. But I think that's got to be the way that our young players develop, is playing at a reasonable level and playing first team football.
Innes, We're supposed to have some sort of official link up with Ayr United, aren't we?
Yeah, that was going to be a point to raise. There is a co-op between Celtic and Ayr United, so it's interesting that they're actually going to Thistle. But I agree, it's a good move for him, as long as he's getting to play regularly in the Championship and at a higher level than what he's playing in the B team. So good for him, and hopefully good for Celtic in general, the first team, over the longer piece.
If he keeps improving, he's going to be a star. Yeah, I really like the look of what we saw from him. He's very progressive. He's confident on the ball. He's like a young Scottish Hatate almost, or what Hatate used to be or is occasionally, sporadically. All right, what else have we got? Well, speaking of young, exciting players, I thought you might be interested in this post. Mahamadou Sangare, 18, with a hat-trick for Man City in the UEFA Youth League. What do you think the comments were like under this post?
It's got to be age-related, obviously. Look, he's got bags under his eyes and wrinkles.
18 years old, apparently. Well, yeah, the comments are outrageous.
Dog years, maybe?
Been alive for 18 World Cups, more like. African footballers and their ages there. Look.
I like the one above it. It's his birthday, February 29th.
Oh, there you go. That was a good one. Maybe this was taken 18 years ago. I know he's well over 18, but can't prove it, says Dokes from, what's he from? That show? Dexter. You're not Dexter? You know what's Dexter?
Not for me.
Huh? Not for you. All right.
That reminds me of was it the Saudi Arabian under 16s that beat Scotland in the under 16s World Cup in '89? Was it? Is that the right year? I think it is.
They all had bigger beards than you.
Yeah, they all had bigger and better beards than me. There you go. Exactly that. Yeah. So I think we were done in that. We battled it out and we got close, but yeah, that was ludicrous as well. But yeah, he's had the hardest paper round I've ever seen if he's 18.
He certainly has. Okay, that's that. Next up, Dom Mackay is running the hydro, apparently. Did you see this post?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. Yeah.
That's legit. Huh?
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
What was it? Celebrating, was it 30 years or 40 years at SEC or something? It was simply red. Yeah.
Simply Red. What can we say about Simply Red? I've got something to say about Simply Red. Mick Hucknall successfully got away with one of the most outrageous double entendres in pop music. Can anyone tell me what that is? Oh, Paul, the music man, has disappeared at a very inopportune moment. Anyone in the comments tell us what Mick Hucknall's outrageous double entendre was? Ines, do you have any idea?
Not a clue. I was never into Simply Red. No, definitely not. And I know he played on Sunday night because one of my colleagues that was at the game with me on Saturday went on Sunday night and said he was great, but I thought that he was crap in the 80s and 90s, and I think he's crap now. So
Monty disagrees. Paul, were you a fan of Simply Red, and can you tell us what the double entendre was?
I cannot, and I was not. Not really for me. He was a top shagger, though, I think. Like, he was well known as a top shagger.
Which plays into the double entendre that he got away with. I mean, most people didn't. Yeah, well, I was going to say finger him for it, but I won't say that. Most people didn't work out what he was saying. It's the I get blown all around the world. I mean, talk about a flex.
Not apparently true, though. Apparently true, but yeah, not for me. Not for me.
Nor me.
Man United fan. Man United fan, but yeah, no, bit too easy listening for my liking.
And me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thought that was very amusing. As long as I'm amusing myself, that's the main thing. All right. How about this then? Big Cho from Korea. I tried to sign when I was at Celtic, says Ange. You remember when before O came in? In fact, in the O song from last week or whatever, or was it Monday even? Tell me, is it Cho or it's O? Oh yes, it's definitely O. We all thought we were getting Cho. And, you know, he looked like a player at the time. And then we got O and we were all like, don't know about this guy. And of course, we were sold on the story that O was always Big Ange's first choice. Do you remember that?
Vaguely. I can't remember too much about it, to be honest.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments now. Paul, you remember Ange saying, oh yeah, O was always my first choice after he was the one we got?
Vaguely. But that's just a party line, right?
I mean, wouldn't be like Ange to sort of feed us mistruths. Yeah.
Are you still bitter about Ange going?
He lied to me. All right. And then the final thing we have is, I'm trying not to be distracted with comments. Rangers are so keen to be us that they're trying to replicate all the things that we've done for success, you know. Some might harshly say they've brought in a manager who's a bit in the sort of Poundland Pep mode, which is, some people say, what we've done. Bit harsh on Brendan. But they've also seemed to be following us down the nepotism route. Did you see this story?
Yep. Thelwell's
Set
son
to appoint Kevin Thelwell's son, Robbie, as the new head of recruitment, which is exactly, well, very similar to what Celtic had in place not long ago.
Yeah, it's I read this yesterday. Thelwell's son coming in. I think they brought him in from Norwich, but you know, it just reeks of the Lowell situation from Celtic a couple of years back. So
Does indeed.
The biggest, going back to ages, the biggest shock on this is this guy's supposed to be 26.
This guy?
Yeah.
Has he been playing football in Africa or something?
I don't know, but I saw a post that said Kevin Thuel hiring his 26-year-old son to head the recruitment stinks more than spending 10 million on players that scored 2 goals in however many seasons. Like, 26?
I don't even know what Thelwell looks like. You sure that's not the dad? That's definitely not the dad.
Maybe it is. I don't know what he looks like either. But it's the same guy's photo, and I don't know. But even if he was 26, that guy couldn't have a 26-year-old kid. He's not that old. So I don't know.
Smell the glove coming in with that.
Must have had him when he was 14.
Trivia question: what's Brendan's son called, and who do you think he was named after?
Oh, it begins with an A. I can't remember. That'll come to me.
Anton Rogan, is it?
Yes,
not?
yeah.
Correct.
Drag that from somewhere.
I wonder, is the timing right that he could have been named after? Nah, he'd been born before Rogan was playing for us, surely. Or maybe not. Time passes very quickly, the older you get, doesn't it?
Yeah, just remember, I remember Anton's first game. I was standing in the jungle, so.
Oh, yeah, Anton Rogan would have been well before Rodgers' son. Like,
was born. Do you think?
I would say so. Like, unless he's over 30. Like, did Rogan sign for us in like 85, 86?
Oh, that was a good long time ago.
Yeah, there was a comment. It was his first game.
Still have inspired it.
Yeah, Rogan was getting heckled in his first game out coming out the jungle, and the lad next to me get a lad a chance. He's just off the boat. So it's funny things you remember all these years.
Yeah, he was a key member of the double winning centenary team.
Yeah.
That you're sporting, it's the top from that season.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Oh, good spot. Here's a quick message from Down Under.
Hey mate, you are watching the least boring Celtic YouTube chat show in the world. And it is totally free. Jeez, that's got to be worth a subscribe, eh?
The least boring Celtic chat show. Is that a big claim, Innes? Can we,
Of course. No,
can we get behind that?
absolutely. It's bold. Yeah.
All right,
I could
well,
have. I reckon I could have done a funnier Australian accent than that, and mine's terrible.
Well, that's not a funny one. That's just AI's interpretation. Oh, look here. Anton Rogan's left foot weighing in on it. Legend. Such a legend that he named himself after it. All right, I think we'll leave it there, gents. So tonight's the night for the game. The first Celtic World show after the game is going to be the Americans. They're going to be talking about it. I think 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night for them, which is sort of 1 a.m. I think for us or for you, Innes.
Yeah.
So they get to talk about what happened in the game. Or Paul, are you getting up to watch it? I assume the answer is yes.
I will be. That's daft. So yeah, 1:45 kickoff for me. So I'll try and get a 2 or 3 hours kit beforehand, and then get up and watch the game, and then try and squeeze another couple hours afterwards if I'm lucky. But yeah, I'll be up.
Innes, tell us again where you're watching it.
I'm going into Liverpool this afternoon, meeting up with my lad in Fitzgerald's Irish pub, which is the home of the Michael Davitt Celtic Supporters Club. It's always a good crack in there, and yeah, get a few pints of Guinness and see where it takes us. Hoping for a win tonight.
Yes, indeed. All hoping for a win. Do we want to give some score predictions before we wrap it up? Innes, jump in there with the score prediction.
Tight and narrow. I think it'll be a 1-0 or something like that. 1-0 Celtic.
Paul?
2-1 us.
Well, I'm going to echo one of the comments earlier and say this is in fact the game that causes our season to burst into life. And we surprise everyone with a really strong performance and 3 goals without response. 3-0 Celtic. That used to be a conservative score prediction for Celtic.
And not long ago.
Seasons gone by. Yeah. No, it's like, have you lost your mind? We don't have 3 goals in us. Yes, we do. And we're going to score them tonight. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, in the comments, as always. It's been great to have you. Let's hope Smell the Glove's not right with his prediction. Rubber Ducks Yang hat-trick. I'm thinking maybe a couple for Iheanacho. Iheanacho, of course. I've got a couple of things here to help people pronounce it correctly. Iheanacho. 2 neck T. So we never go wrong. All right, lads, until next time.
Sorry, Gav, have you sent those off to the guys at Celtic TV? I hope so.
Well, I've tweeted about what's his name, Simon Donnelly. My disgust at his mispronunciations.
Cudahy was just as bad.
He was bad on one of them, that's for sure. But anyway, let's focus on the positives, lads. We're going to win in Europe. The board's talking to us again. They're going to exceed all our demands. Everything's rosy in the world. Until next time, cheerio.
Hail, hail.